There is this growing mantra from one side of the global political spectrum to silence dissension from the other side online. I have for my most life considered myself to be a liberal. For a long time identified as a classic liberal or libertarian. As the tide of progressivism has swept across Western culture, I find myself more and more identifying as a conservative. I understand why more left-leaning people are upset with the way people are sometimes treated online. I understand how it can be harder for women to engage in certain internet areas more so than their male counterparts. I can even understand that someone who may read this that does not identify as one of the two genders I listed above may feel excluded. And in that last sentence lies the real crux of the censorship issue. If as a parent I censor too much of life from my child in a dishonest manner, it will eventually have a net negative effect on him. When he emerges from the shelter I've built for him and has to face life on life's terms, he will not be prepared. I also have to be sure that as I allow my child to see more and more of the world, that I do not allow him to be overexposed to things that are too mature for him to understand or that may discourage, dishearten, or traumatize him. Between those two statements exist the boundaries of how my wife and I try to manage our child's ever-developing sense of what the world has to offer. The true difference between censorship of society and censorship of a child is that someday that child has to head out on their own. The idea of censorship on a mass scale is the idea that we can extend this childhood filter into adulthood. We cannot. There will always be interactions that every human faces that are hard, mean, cruel, evil, and every feeling and emotion possible. This idea that censorship is something we can understand the management of and can implement correctly is also concerning. As a parent, I know that I am going to make mistakes. I know that I am going to allow my son to see things that he shouldn't and expose him to ideas and information before he is ready. This relationship of censorship is on a truly micro level. It is a relationship that is based on familial bonds and blood relations. There is a love and trust truly at work in the relationship. Additionally, as a parent, I know I am in a better position in maturity, in wisdom, and in intellectual development in comparison to him. This variance between my child and me is what justifies my actions of censorship and protectionism. The argument on a social level on any grounds cannot be justified in the same manner. The position comes from a place of protection of some at the cost of others' freedom of expression. At some point in the censorship, an individual or a group of people have to believe that their knowledge is superior to everyone else's, and from that position they can justify wielding power over large groups of adult human beings. If you can see the arrogance in the statement above, then we share a similar opinion. If you cannot see that the group above is taking actions based on arrogance, we do not sit on the same side of the issue. If you feel my position is wrong, and there are groups of people that need society's protection online, and that the administration of censorship will not be abused, I ask you to really think about that perspective. I ask you to look around the world and to find similarities in behavior of those on the left and their ideas of censorship. Find other places in the world where you see censorship taking place. Can you find an instance of suppression of thought of one group for the benefit of the other group that has ever led to peace? I am not going to assert that I know for certain this outcome has never been the case. I will assert that I am fairly well educated, and I am not aware of an instance where suppression of speech has led to a blossoming of peace. If one such example does exist, I would be happy to revisit my views on this area. I look at the internet and its potential for complete freedom of expression on a global scale, and I see it slipping towards a tool that the powerful will use to repress. I see how China and now Russia are using their internet, and I shudder. Places like the UK and New Zealand have already started down these paths. On top of this, there is a growing call for censorship here in the United States. What will the tipping point be? Will there be a tipping point? I will continue to engage with people I have different views from. I will not hide my beliefs in fairness of law, freedom of speech, and individual choice above all else. These things are gifts, and if we are not careful, we will allow them to be censored away, one at a time. Thanks for stopping by. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, and if you would like to hear more of my video game / non-video game related videos, please hit that subscribe button. Till next time.